Yeah, for sure. One second. Imagine this. You have a younger sibling or a child that's in elementary school. Now imagine if I was to offer him or her $100. How do you think they would spend it? Would they go to Toys R Us and buy Game Boys, Nintendo DS and spend it on toys? Or do you think that they will have a discrete, concrete plan on how to save and invest for their future? Exactly. That's my point. We've realized a gap in the grade 4 and 8 category, and they lack financial education. There's three main problems that exist here. First, kids are not motivated and are not inspired to learn about financial education, and they don't realize the vital importance of this. Second, schools are not implementing a financial education plan in their curriculums for kids to learn about finances. Third, parents are not engaging in conversations on the dinner table with their kids about finances, and this is mainly due to the lack of their own confidence in finances. According to a consumer survey conducted by Canadian Living, 95% of the Canadians said that by teaching youth about financial management and financial literacy, their future will their future will have more success if they have this early education. That's why I would like to introduce to you Kiwii, which is our solution to this problem. Now, Kiwii is an online service platform which encourages youth between the ages of 8 to 13 to learn about financial literacy. Basically, how it works is we have online videos, animated videos, which will engage these youth consumers, followed by a quiz accompanied by a game, which they will play in and get used to this game. So we're targeting mainly these younger kids. We realize that we're as teens, we are mainly targeting adults to have education. However, the main gap that exists is between these younger ones, between the grades 4 to 8. That's why we would like to introduce our solution, Kiwii.
And here's our team. We have a very good team that is very good at teamwork. We have a very determined and very ready to work hard. We have a great coach back there, Javed Khan, who has over 20 years of experience in financial analysis. And I'd also like to mention Danny Garcia, who's not here with us. Now our market segmentation. Our target market is large corporations or large public corporations also who have good connections with our consumers. So corporations such as financial institutions, investment firms, also public government institutions, school boards, and youth organizations are also important. Our target consumers, our demographics, is kids in grades 4 to 8 who lack the programs in education in financial literacy, but who have the knowledge to learn about it. So I asked a few questions to kids aged 11 to 13, and here are my questions. The first one was, do you talk about money with your parents, your family, or your friends? Most of them answered that they do not. The second question was, do you keep track of your spending? Also, most of them do not keep track of their spending. And finally, do you have an interest in learning about finances, or as I told them, budgeting? And they do have an interest in that. So that's very good for our product, Kiwii. Now our expert opinion. Ask a teacher who has over 20 years of experience in school boards in the Greater Toronto area. So this teacher's been teaching to students aged 7 to 18. And this teacher said that financial literacy programs, there are financial literacy programs for students aged 14 to 18, such as Prodigy, but there are no programs for students aged 8 to 13, but they do have the mental capacity to learn about that financial literacy and budgeting.
So here we have some screenshots of our website. So as you can tell, we've already begun the execution. Keep in mind that these are just prototypes. So as we continue developing, we'll expand more and things like that. But so basically, we plan to have two different kinds of homepages. So one for sponsorships, for sponsors where they can have potential sponsorship information, reasons to sponsor us. And on the other hand, we'll also have a homepage for consumers, so like the children who can play games, access videos, and things like that. So here we have an example of a prototype of one of our lessons. So as you mentioned earlier, they're going to be animations. So this one is specifically on opportunity cost, but we also plan to talk about things like the value of money, debt, and things like that. So all very applicable to everyday lives. So cost and revenue. So basically, for us, in order to maximize profit, we want to minimize costs, and in doing this, we plan to partner mostly with colleges and university as well as game developers afterwards. So colleges and universities have many students that are interested in opportunities to increase their experience. And for our revenue forecast, so in the beginning we'll be looking for government grants, which is like a lot of money, as well as sponsorships. So there are government grants that are especially for businesses that hire students out of college. And afterwards, we'll also be offering white labeling services for our lessons on the websites of financial institutions and things like this. We will also later be selling user accounts where students, so people, organizations can buy these user accounts and then give them to our consumers, who will then like use these user accounts to play games, to access quizzes and things like that. So partnerships, like I mentioned before, as you can see, we'll be targeting a lot of financial institutions for our sponsorships as well as white labeling services.
Perfect. So as my colleague here said, we're going to be seeking grants and sponsorships in our first year, and we recognize in our first year we're in the evolution process. So we're not on par with our income in the first year. However, in the second year, we aim on applying for the $100,000 grants for the government and spreading this out over a 3-year period. So as you can see, over the years we are definitely increasing our net income.
Okay, so execution. So short-term execution, we plan on doing minimal viable product testing. So although we know that there is like a demand on the market, we also want to build credibility when we approach school boards. So we'll also be meeting with the financial literacy officer in Ottawa, like Jane Rooney, to also once again increase credibility as well as teacher advocates and begin pilot testing. So in the long term, we plan on establishing children as well as professional advisory boards. So like in order to help us with development and evolution. So we'll be launching phase 1 of our website, which are the lessons, as well as following that we will be phase 2, which are the games. So we asked for, mainly because we're like a different structure than other companies, like we are mainly for government institutions, so we asked for mainly just like being as members of our like advisory council, as well as 100,000.
Yeah, that's it, thanks.
Nice job, guys. Do the judges have any questions?
Yeah, you mentioned user accounts as a revenue stream. Is it free, or are you guys charging for this product?
Basically, we'll probably have lesson demos on the website, but like school boards or financial institutions can buy user accounts in bulk, and then from this they can give it to students who will then use the user accounts to access the game. So how it works is kind of like they do the lesson, there's a quiz, and depending on the quiz, on how much they score, they can earn various equipment or items for their like worldwide reality kind of game, in order to increase enthusiasm and like.
So it's one big game, not like several mini games.
Yes, exactly.
How are you planning to break the stigma? You said at the very beginning there was a stigma on, I can't remember the term you used, but the money.
Yep.
For young kids. How are you planning on breaking that? Because trust me, I'm in that market and it's extremely hard.
Yeah, so we recognize that it's very hard to get these kids into this financial market, right? And that's why one part of our product is the game. I'm pretty sure a lot of you have heard of like Clash of Clans and all these games which youth are really like involved in, And so that's why we, as part of our website and one part of our product, is we want to include this game. So kids are going to be really they're going to be really interested in the game. When they get the opportunity to customize their character, keep track of their finances, and through this game as a medium, we're going to use this as a medium to teach them about financial literacy. And in this game, we're going to include secret lessons, through which they can understand more about financial literacy. So that's our main attack on how we can remove the stigma around financial literacy.
What about dealing with youth? You have to be very careful, especially the age group you're talking about. You have to be very careful with the online presence of these youth and protecting these youth from other futuristic threats. Being online automatically puts a threat towards youth, especially at this age. And the school boards are very careful because you won't be able to get any or very much revenue through advertisement, because as soon as you put advertisement on there, the school boards are not going to be happy.
So we don't actually plan on doing any advertisement. So like we said, we plan on earning revenue mainly through later on mainly through white labeling. But as you said, so there will be interest, and also in this environment, it's very protected. So you need to buy these user logins, and they're only available for school boards and financial institutions
So you're
who
gonna be
are
very
credible
careful.
sources.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we're going to be very careful because, as you mentioned, it's an important consideration for kids because they're very influenceable, and their parents have a lot of concerns that we need to address.
Sure, so can you clarify for me, sir? You mentioned the financial institutions, all the big banks in Canada, right? So what are you offering them and what are they providing to you again?
So basically, we want to offer them. So after, like I mentioned earlier, with the animation, they're kind of like lessons.
Yeah.
So we believe that financial institutions will be very interested in giving, for example, these lessons to their clients' children in order to kind of maintain loyalty with the company. So also, like we mentioned earlier, Danny Karastia. So he is a financial youth planner that is involved in trying to run a youth forum that teaches youth financial literacy. So we're kind of going with that idea, except instead of focusing on high school students, we're aiming for younger kids.
Got it, okay.
Do you talk to any big banks or financial institutions to validate your premise that they would be interested in this?
Unfortunately, as of yet, due to our restricted timeline, we have not contacted banks. However, that's one consideration that we'll definitely keep in mind as we progress throughout our development.
Okay.
Yeah, banks are really sharp business organizations, right? They'll always get more than they give.
Well, that's also why we want to talk
Generally?
That's also why we want to go to Ottawa to talk to the federal financial literacy officer and things like that.
But this is meant to be a profit-oriented organization,
Yeah.
not a not-for-profit.
No, profit-oriented.
Well, there are some, you could say, education elements that governments would be very interested in. So they would be giving. So we would be giving a lot of grants through that kind of stream. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Awesome. Thank you, guys.